Oh, Undertale. A hit success of a passionate small indie game that's changed lives for millions. Honestly, what a delight of a game. With its perfect characters, its soulful, fulfilling music, and its beautiful story and message to tell. I personally have been a huge Undertale fan for about half my life. It changed who I am for the better, and with the help of its thriving community and its deep hidden meanings, I found so much purpose for it over the past few years. Now, Undertale has been talked about, decoded, and broken down over these past 7 years, so there's not really all that much left to talk about. There is one topic that I have not seen people get into though, which gives Undertale so much extra spark. What's arguably the most influential cast of characters in the game, it would be none other than the dreemurr family themselves. Yeah, you heard me right, the dreemurr family. If you haven't played or watched anyone play all 3 routes of Undertale before, spoiler warning ahead because I'm going to be decoding and breaking down characters that are only fully fleshed out after playing 3 routes. Seriously consider playing this game, it is life-changing. With that being said, let's continue. Who are the dreemurrs? Who is Asriel? Maybe you just need a refresher, or maybe you just ignored my spoiler warning and are watching this video anyway and ignoring the fact that you could be playing the best game of all time right now. But instead you're here. Anyhow, allow me to catch you up on the story real quick. The game starts falling down the mystical Mount Ebott into the underground. As you land on a bed of glowing golden flowers, you make your way to the next room. You meet a talking flower going by the name of Flowey. He seems like a friendly guy at first, but you soon learn that he's not exactly as delightful as he seems up front, spilling this idea of, in this world, it's kill or be killed. After your dangerous encounter with the talking flower, you meet Toriel, the caretaker of the ruins. You make your way throughout the ruins, solving puzzles and making small talk with Toriel. Toriel soon decides to go to her home and make you wait, where you explore the rest of the ruins on your own. You make your way to her house and she tells you to stay there, to live with her there so that she can raise you as her own child. Exploring the house, you'll find tons of tiny little details, especially in your own room. In your room, you'll find a number of items that aren't yours, but that Toriel still seems to keep. There's a flower drawing hung up on the wall, with some toys, a box of kid shoes, a dusty and empty photo frame, and an unused closet full of children's clothes. These things are definitely not things Toriel would use. You move on along, exploring the rooms, but eventually, you get curious as to what the outside world is like, so you ask Toriel if you can leave. Toriel, in a fit of desperation, goes downstairs and tells you to wait in your room. As you follow her downstairs, she tells you again and again to be a good child and go upstairs. Ignoring her request, she tells you that if you continue, King Asgore will kill you. You ignore her remarks and continue following her. That's where she decides to fight you to prove yourself. Depending on what you choose to happen, Toriel either lives and wishes you good luck on your journey, or you mercilessly trample her ashes. However, after the ruins, you don't really get much info about the dreemurrs. Snowdin doesn't really have any relevance to the dreemurrs, neither does Waterfall or Hotland actually. Although throughout your adventures, through these places, a certain character gets talked about a lot, this character being Asgore Dreemurr, the king of the monsters. Undead and Papyrus describe Asgore as a big fuzzy pushover, yet Toriel and Alphys describe him as a cold monster willing to do what it takes. You are also told about the human souls, the fact that the monsters need 7 souls to break the barrier and set monsters free. They currently have 6 and they need 7, yours being the last one required. Either way, you continue and make your way to the new home. Monsters begin to show up. As you explore and travel through New Home collecting keys, you are told a story of the king and queen's 2 children named Asriel and Kara. Kara being a fallen human from the overworld and Asriel being the king and queen's biological son. To sum up the story, one day Kara fell down Mount Ebott, just like our protagonist Frisk, but they fell all those years ago, way back before any of the fallen humans ever fell before. Asriel found Kara, and the Dreemurr family adopted and raised them as their own. The siblings became close, inseparable. They would grow to have tons of moments together and live as an extension of each other. As you walk around New Home, you can see the things they did, the things they created, the macaroni sketch on the wall in Dad's room, the drawings of golden flowers on the siblings' room. In the True Pacifist route, you can find a room with VHS tapes of those 2 hanging out. It can be found in the True Lab. The final tape containing information about what happened to Kara. You are told this again by the monsters in New Home, but Kara grew ill, very ill, to the point that there was no bringing them back. In Kara's final breaths, they asked their Azzy to bring their body to the golden flowers in their hometown, where Kara came from originally. Asriel, using the power of Kara's soul, took their lifeless body all the way to the surface, past the barrier, all the way to their hometown. As Asriel set their body in the garden, the humans were in shock. They believed that Asriel was the one that killed the human, but it couldn't be further from the truth. The humans attacked Asriel with everything they had, but Asriel, he did not fight back. Kara's soul begging Asriel to fight back against the humans, but Asriel, he chose mercy. He chose not to kill. He took all the blows, set down Kara, and stumbled his way back to the underground. He had the power to kill them all. Kara always hated humanity, and their soul was begging Asriel to wipe their damned faces off the face of this planet. But despite it all, Asriel chose mercy. He stumbled hurt into the underground, until finally collapsing in the bed of flowers. His dust spread, unmoving and still. Once you finish exploring New Home at this point, you can tell a lot about the story of the dreemurrs. You know that Toriel tried to stop 6 humans before you and failed to stop every single one, including you, from continuing to the rest of the underground. Each human falling down to the hands of Asgore, the underground just needs one last soul. You make your way to the king's room. He greets you. He invites you to the next room and reassures you, telling you not to be nervous and to just think of it like a trip to the dentist. You make your way into the barrier room, and depending on what route you do, if you did neutral, Asgore will fight you. You can beg Asgore to stop. You can tell him that he's killed you before. He will nod sadly. Asgore clearly not putting his all into killing you, each blow of his being weighed down by the guilt of killing the 6 other human children. Eventually he will subside. If you choose to spare him, he will offer you a home, a new place to stay. He will treat you as a child of his own once again, just like he did with Kara. His willingness to give humanity another chance shows his forgiving nature, giving up the idea of setting free with souls, and instead trying to find another way to be set free. He then is killed by Flowey, mercilessly, and Flowey goes on to take the souls and become godlike. In a final fight with Flowey, you're able to persevere with the help of your determination and with the help of the human souls. But what if you do pacifist? Well, in the pacifist route, you will explore the true lab. To skip all the things Dr. Alphys did, which is a whole interesting discussion of its own, there's a certain room that describes experiments with this golden flower. In the entries, it is said that Alphys injected determination into one of the golden flowers from the flower bed. The same flower bed Asriel died on. The ashes seem to have been infused into the flowers. That flower Alphys put determination into. Determination being the power of reset, the ability to control timelines, the ability to face death and say no just because you're not willing to give up. This revived the flower. It did not have a soul, but it did wield the powers of determination. The soulless, unfeeling flower would go on to use its powers for good, for evil, for every little thing you can think of. It could not feel love. It could not feel sadness. It could not feel anything. It grew bored. This flower went insane, seeing the same lines of dialogue, the same mannerisms, the same movements from everyone in the underground. Lines of dialogue, different actions, he's seen it all. This flower was Flowey. This flower was Asriel. Flowey at the start of the game tries to kill you, but when he tries to reset, he realizes he couldn't anymore. That's because Frisk's determination overrode his. Frisk's determination was stronger. This made Flowey curious, and he began to follow Frisk throughout the underground. Eventually, at the end of the pacifist route, he takes all the human souls and all the monster souls and becomes Asriel once again. In his Asriel dreemurr form, he fights you. He calls you Kara. Despite Kara being gone for decades, he tries his best to keep you where you are, just to entertain himself for just a little longer with his best friend Kara. Until eventually he gives out. Not because he was too weak, he was the strongest being in the universe with infinite attack and defense, but because the souls of not only the humans but also the love for Frisk from all the monster souls. It grew too strong for him. To feel love after so much time of feeling nothing, it was too much for Azzy to handle. He powers back down to his kid self. He apologizes for everything he did as a flower and breaks the barrier for all the monsters to go free. He realizes that you aren't actually Kara, but just remind him of them. Your name is Frisk. You comfort him and he cries into your shoulder, feeling the guilt of everything he did once as a flower, and regretting it all so very much. To hurt his loved ones just because of his desire of curiosity, you can see why he adopted that kill or be killed mentality now. He chose mercy back at the surface, and look what happened to him. After rethinking his choices all those years as a flower, and forgetting what love even feels like, he grew cold. He grew into a hurtful manifestation of the hatred of humans from Kara and the hatred of himself. He goes back down to the beginning of the ruins and sits there idly, looking at the bed of golden flowers that once started it all. That is the story of the dreemurrs. Whew, what a doozy, right? This story, it sits with me. It means so much to me. Asriel and Kara's stories really hit to the core. Undertale relies so strongly on the story of the dreemurrs, from a happy family to Asgore's guilt, Asriel's curiosity, Kara's hatred, and Toriel's motherly love. This story, honestly, it can't work without these characters and their stories. Asgore's character arc being one of outgrowing his urge for revenge. The humans, they took everything from him, his home, his wife, his kids. He pledged war against the humans and even got pretty far in his plan too, already killing and reaping the souls of 6 human children. But then, with Frisk, he chose mercy. He realized despite what humans have done, killing innocent people is just not okay. He should have listened to Toriel the whole time. Toriel's character arc is growing to trust others again, and more importantly, to believe in the people she cares about, to have to understand that she lost 8 of the children that she vowed to take care of and protect. 6 to the urge of curiosity, 1 to an illness, hence why she learned healing magic, and her biological one to the humans. Unlike Asgore, she was able to forgive, but she lacked the willpower to truly set things in motion for a better future for the monsters. And finally, Asriel's character arc, going full circle. The idea of, what if you had to relive the same thing, over and over and over? Would you not give in and start doing things that are wrong too? On top of that, what if you couldn't feel emotions? Wouldn't you give in to your curiosity, your urge to kill just to see what happens? Asriel's story is one of the desire of curiosity. Curiosity being one of the scariest things anyone could ever imagine.